Alright, hello. We're going to go through the first part of this unit. This unit is about matter and chemical formulas. So the first part, basically, we're just going to have a kind of a flow chart starting at the top and work our way down. So at the top of this is matter. Okay? Matter is anything that has mass or volume. So basically anything you can touch is an easy way of thinking about it. Things like light and heat are not matter because you can't touch them. Those would be more energy. Matter then is broken down into two parts. You have pure substances. A pure substance cannot be broken down physically. When we say physically, we're meaning you literally take it with your hands and pull it apart, for example, or other physical processes that we'll talk about. A pure substance has what you call definite composition, which means it goes together the same way every time. So for example, water is a very common example. It's always H2O. A mixture, on the other hand, can be broken down physically. You can take it manually and pull things apart. You can use magnets, etc. They do not have definite composition. So when you think about a mixture, think about a jar full of nickels and pennies. If you have 1 nickel and 99 pennies, you have a mixture. If you have 50 nickels and 50 pennies, you still have a mixture. It's not a definite composition. Pure substance then can be broken down into a couple things. The purest thing that we have is an element. An element cannot be broken down into something that has physical properties. Okay, you can break it down maybe into protons, electrons, neutrons, but they do not have physical properties. So if you have 1 atom of gold, that piece of gold would look like a bar of gold. It would look gold, it would be a good conductor, etc. If you have 2 or more elements put together, that's called a compound, and these are chemically put together. Electrons have been transferred and moved. It takes a chemical process to break this down. So one way is to use heat, in which you break those bonds. Another way is to use electricity in a process called electrolysis. So if you take water, again, for example, and you run electricity through it, you break those bonds, and hydrogen gas and oxygen gas will break apart into each other. Mixtures, on the other hand, have 2 different categories as well. You have what's called a heterogeneous mixture and a homogeneous mixture. A homogeneous mixture, when you look at it, even though it's multiple things, it looks like one thing. So for example, milk. When you look at milk, it just looks like a white liquid of some sort. When you look at a heterogeneous mixture, going back to the nickels and pennies or example gravel, it looks like 2 or more things put together. A heterogeneous mixture is generally separated physically using filters, magnets, manually pulling them apart, centrifuges, things like that. Melting points, boiling points are other examples, densities. There's all kinds of examples of physical ways to pull these things apart. A homogeneous mixture then falls into 3 categories. You have one called a solution. And the key about a solution is everything that's in this mixture is in the same phase of matter, meaning they are all solids, they're all liquids, they're all gases. So salt water, when you put that salt in the water, it dissolves, it becomes part of the water. A suspension has 2 different states of matter. Still, when you're looking at it, it looks like one thing, but over time it will settle. So for example, muddy water, you have all these particles and it just looks like a black or gray liquid, but if you give it time, they start to settle. Now, in between these 2, you have something called a colloid. You have 2 different states of matter, but one is too small to see or to filter out of it. So for example, dust in air. When you look at air, you don't see it, but it's there. And it's very hard to filter that out. For a solution, if you want to break it apart, you have to use a process called distillation, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But distillation is basically using boiling points. and you heat up the water, for example, and once it boils away, the salt is left over. In a suspension, you would want to use filtration. Again, using muddy water, you could use a good filter, and you could pour it in there and it would catch all the solid particles and hopefully give you clear water somewhat. A colloid, though, since they're too small to see, you really can't filter them, but to detect that they are there, you use something called the Tyndall effect. This is strong light that shows a particle. So for example, if you're laying in your bedroom in the summer and the curtains are closed and just a beam of light, sunlight, is coming through, if you look closely, you will see particles floating in the air. Those are the dust particles that you can't normally see, but that strong light will help that out. If you go to a concert of some sort, all the lasers and lights moving around in the air are due to the fog or haze that they put in the air, so that those particles are seen. So overall, this is what we're going to have. On the exam we'll have eventually, there'll be a page that basically has this, and you will be filling in where different things go. So make sure you have this written down and you're ready to go with this. So this is a pretty good video we're going to watch real quick before we're done.
Two types of matter are homogeneous matter and heterogeneous matter. Homogeneous matter has the same physical and chemical properties throughout it. In other words, all the stuff that makes up homogeneous matter acts pretty much the same way. Homogeneous matter is called a substance. Distilled water, which has had all the impurities removed from it, is a pure substance and an example of homogeneous matter.
Heterogeneous matter is a mixture of substances. This rock is an example of heterogeneous matter since it was formed from fragments of other rocks. This limestone is also heterogeneous matter since it was formed from the secretions of organisms.
Ew! Gross!
A mixture of substances is considered homogeneous if the mixture has the same physical and chemical properties throughout it. A homogeneous mixture is also called a solution.
On the other hand, a heterogeneous mixture has different chemical and physical properties, and these properties remain separate from each other. Orange juice is a heterogeneous mixture. You can strain the bits of orange out of the water.
You can separate both homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures into their component parts by physical means such as distillation and the filtration we just did. Distillation is the process where we evaporate liquids or solids with heat, then condense the vapor back into the liquid.
On the other hand, you can only separate pure substances by chemical means, like adding heat or an electrical current. When you separate a pure substance, you get either an element or a compound.
So, you can see physical properties without changing the identity of the matter, but to see chemical properties, you have to change the identity of the matter. Can you say homogeneous? Homogeneous matter is also called a substance, and it has the same chemical and physical properties throughout. Homogeneous mixtures of substances, also called solutions, have the same chemical and physical properties throughout as well. Heterogeneous matter is a mixture of pure substances with different chemical and physical properties. You can separate heterogeneous and homogeneous mixtures into their components by physical means, but pure substances can only be separated into their components by chemical means.
Okay, so moving on. Distillation, just a little bit more about that. Again, physical process used to separate solutions mainly by boiling points. So this would be an apparatus maybe you would use. As you look at it, you can see where you're heating it on the left side. It goes through a condenser tube. Basically that has cold water going around it to make it kind of condense quicker, and then you capture it. When you're doing a distillation, you keep track of the temperatures as you're going over time. And as you do that, eventually you create a curve. If it's a pure substance, you'll notice the curve goes up and then it plateaus at one level and continues. That's where the substance is boiling. If you have a mixture, though, what you will see is a few different plateaus. So if you look at this one here, As you went up, it flattened out for a little bit. When that mixture is done boiling away, then it raises and goes up a little bit higher and then levels off. So maybe that second one, we had an alcohol that boiled off and then eventually the water boils off. When you're doing something like this and you're capturing different amounts, that is called fractional distillation. You're separating many different substances in a sample. So this next video kind of looks at that when it comes to separating oil.
The first step in optimizing the refining process is determining the composition of the crude. The analysis identifies undesirable trace metals and minerals, like sulfur, which are detrimental to equipment. The terms sour and sweet are used to describe crude with either high or low sulfur content. Since the various hydrocarbon chains found in crude oil have different boiling points, distillation can be used to separate them into groups called fractions. Smaller hydrocarbons, such as methane and propane, have low boiling points and are most volatile. Medium-sized molecules like hexane and octane have higher boiling points and require higher temperatures to change from a liquid to a gas. The largest molecules require the highest temperature to volatilize and are often cracked or broken into smaller pieces during the heating process. Fractional distillation is the principal method used to separate crude oil. The crude oil enters the distillation process after it is preheated. The hot stream is then pumped into the fractional distillation tower, or fractionator. The heaviest hydrocarbons condense at the bottom of the fractionator. These tar-like sludges, known as bottoms, or resid, comprise almost half of the crude stream. Shorter hydrocarbons, like those in diesel and kerosene, condense at a cooler temperature and settle on one of the lower trays. Still lighter hydrocarbons, including the naphtha fractions used in gasoline blending, remain in the vapor state until they reach higher, cooler trays. The smallest hydrocarbons, such as methane and propane, remain gaseous and pass out the top of the fractionating tower. The fractions collected and drawn off trays are sold or further refined into useful products.
Okay, so that's it for this part of the notes. Make sure that you have the flow chart filled out and kind of understand where they're going. Just keep in mind a pure substance is something that can't be broken down physically. It requires a chemical process, whereas a mixture, you can break it down physically and then separates into 3 different categories there if you're talking about a homogeneous selection. So make sure you look over all this.